Well, so the Prime Minister has in fact returned from Greece. These are visuals that are now coming in of his arrival at the HAL airport in Bengaluru. It is in fact going to be a long day for the Prime Minister. It has in fact been a long week for the Prime Minister. After the BRICS summit, he visited Greece, where several rounds of talks were held, and after that he made it a point that the moment he stepped foot on India, it is going to be in fact in Bengaluru, and he will go to ISTRAC to meet all the ISRO scientists to celebrate the recent victory when India stepped foot on the lunar surface, that to the South Pole, only becoming the 4th nation on this planet to successfully soft land on the South Pole of the moon, soft land on the lunar surface, and the first to soft land on the South Pole of the moon. Now the Prime Minister, of course, is going to be visiting the ISTRAC, which is the center in Bengaluru from which all the orbit raising and orbit lowering maneuvers were being carried out. Apart from the last 15, 20, 25 minutes of artificial intelligence that was baked into the system by the ISRO scientists, all the commands were given from this particular headquarters in Bengaluru, the ISTRAC headquarters. This is the Prime Minister's welcome outside the HAL airport post his arrival. Lot of people waiting there, lots and lots of people waiting there, some party workers, some supporters, various fans of the Prime Minister, and also fans of Chandrayaan and our Vikram lander and Pragyan rover. Special official accounts that have now been made on the internet for these two particular modules of ours that are now on of course the lunar surface, the experimentation and the process of using all those payload packages and the instruments, from checking seismic activity to checking the density of the lunar mass and various elements that could potentially be found on the moon. That is something that's going to be the focus over the next 12 days. The Prime Minister, these are the first visuals that have come in. The Prime Minister is going to be visiting the ISRO scientists and then of course depart towards Delhi. According to the tentative schedule of the Prime Minister, well, it seems like at about 700 hours, 7 a.m. he's going to be at the mission complex at 2 in ISTRAC, which is the venue for the program as well. He is going to reach ISTRAC by road from here, of course going to wait over there in HAL or the BJP supporters. Take a look at these visuals. These are visuals of people that have been flocking to this particular venue site where you can of course catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. From the wee hours of the night, people have been waiting in lines just to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. There you go. I can see some Karnataka minister over there. That seems like R. Ashoka, the former revenue minister of Karnataka. So a lot of Karnataka ministers are also waiting for the Prime Minister to come. They are going to first greet the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister will then move towards ISTRAC. He's going to arrive at ISTRAC at about 700 hours today at the Mission Complex 2 in ISTRAC, which is also going to be the venue of the program. Now, between 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., the Prime Minister is expected to meet all the ISRO scientists. At 8 to 5 hours, he is going to depart the venue by road to back towards the airport at the Bengaluru Hindustan Aeronautics Limited Airport, and then depart towards Delhi from there. Lots of boards and banners, and take a look at that. Also getting visuals of people that are waiting for the Prime Minister to now come and address the gathering. Big day for all the ISRO scientists as well, because the Prime Minister made it a point that he is going to come back, and once he's back, well, the first thing that he's going to do, he's going to be visiting the ISRO scientists, also the ISRO chairman Somnath. When we talk about the ISRO chairman, he was quick to receive a phone call from the Prime Minister as well. The Prime Minister, right after the soft landing of our lunar module on the lunar surface, the Prime Minister quickly dialed up S. Somnath, and you could see S. Somnath from in the middle of the speech, pick up his phone, listening to what the Prime Minister had to say. And we have those exchanges that we will play out for you as well. But right now, this is what we're learning, this is what we're picking up. At 6 a.m. today, the Prime Minister arrived from Greece. He made it a point, like I'm saying, from BRICS to Bengaluru. And all of this only for ISRO. The Prime Minister has made it a point that he should come back and congratulate all the ISRO scientists for the scientific acumen of this country. Meanwhile, let's not forget that latest pictures of our Pragyan rover, latest pictures of the lander's imaging system have been sending out fresh, awe-inspiring, stunning visuals of the lunar surface of Pragyan rover coming out, rolling out of the lander Vikram. And the international acceptance, the global acceptance that India has received, the Indian Space Research Organization has received after the successful soft landing of the Chandrayaan 3.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, नरेंद्र मोदी ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದೇ 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 भारत माता की, भारत माता की, नरेंद्र मोदी ಅವರಿಗೆ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ದೇಶದ ನೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಭಾರತ್ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ ಭಾರತ್ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ ಭಾರತ್ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ भारत माता की बाजार से भारत माता की भारत माता की नरेंद्र मोदी ಅವರಿಗೆ नरेंद्र मोदी ಅವರಿಗೆ भारत
My colleague Varghese Abraham joins us in the studio. Varghese, these are the fresh visuals, the latest visuals that have now come out. It is going to be, a big morning for the Prime Minister, and not just for the Prime Minister, for all the ISRO scientists that have been waiting with bated breath for the Prime Minister to come and congratulate them. You know what they've been saying. Facts are that there have been 47 launches under the Prime Minister's, current dispensation, and the funds allocation to the ISRO has also been multifold under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Well, with the time Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to the office, ISRO had already embarked on certain ambitious projects. They had already asked for funding on those projects, and the Prime Minister in fact ensured that ISRO got that funding, and that is why you see this kind of an ambitious leap when we look at how ISRO was able to achieve this feat. Albeit, also remember that it is not something that came easy. They had one failure. They couldn't land Chandrayaan 2's rover, but that did not stop them. The Prime Minister encouraged them, and of course it went further ahead. And today's success, we see how the ISRO has been able to bounce back from that failure. They learned a lot from that failure. In fact, a lot of scientists have been saying that Chandrayaan 2 was not a failure. It was a wealth of experience that they were able to get. They were able to understand the complications. They were understanding.
Well, visuals, Varghese. There you go. The Prime Minister now outside, and of course waving to all the people that have come out to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. This includes supporters of Chandrayaan, general science enthusiasts, supporters of the Pragyan rover. There are special dedicated pages on Instagram and X dedicated to the Pragyan rover. That's the Prime Minister. He's come out. There was a gathering point outside Hindustan Aeronautics Limited Airport in Bengaluru, where people and all the media personnel were required to come. This is that particular spot. The Prime Minister, of course, waving to them. This is, I think, before he leaves, embarks on his journey towards the ISTRAC. where the mission complex over there, where from where the commands to the Chandrayaan Chandrayaan 3, beg your pardon, were given. And
in fact, you're right. Chandrayaan 2 also was involved because they got the connection established from the rover of Chandrayaan 3 to Chandrayaan 2's orbiter. So,
and the posters, the graphics that are playing right behind the Prime Minister, the arrangements that have been made. Of course, I mean, the Prime Minister did want to make a point that,
well, the Prime Minister
don't
did
just end your
point,
celebrations
yes.
just now. I'm going to come back and we're going to again celebrate Chandrayaan 3.
Well, these visuals are from HAL Airport. HAL Airport is considered as an airport where most of the dignitaries, tend to land in Bengaluru. I think the Prime Minister is going to make a speech right now. Let's listen to what he had to say.
भारत माता की भारत माता की मेरे साथ आप एक नारा बुलवाइए। नरेंद्र मोदी और जय जवान जय जवान। अब आगे मैं एक और कह रहा हूं, मैं कहूंगा जय विज्ञान, आप कहेंगे जय अनुसंधान। जय विज्ञान जय विज्ञान जय विज्ञान जय जवान जय जवान जय विज्ञान जय विज्ञान जय विज्ञान। सूर्योदय की बेला हो और बेंगलुरु का ये नजारा हो, देश के वैज्ञानिक देश को जब इतनी बड़ी सौगात देते हैं, इतनी बड़ी सिद्धि प्राप्त करते हैं, तो जो दृश्य मुझे आज बेंगलुरु में दिख रहा है, वही मुझे ग्रीस में भी दिखाई दिया, जोहान्सबर्ग में भी दिखाई दिया। दुनिया के हर कोने में न सिर्फ भारतीय विज्ञान में विश्वास करने वाले, भविष्य को देखने वाले, मानवता को समर्पित सब लोग इतने ही उमंग और उत्साह से भरे हुए हैं। आप सुबह सुबह इतना जल्दी आए, मेरा तो मैं अपने आप को रोक नहीं पा रहा था, क्योंकि मैं यहां से दूर विदेश में था। तो मैंने तय किया कि भारत जाऊंगा तो पहले बेंगलुरु जाऊंगा। सबसे पहले उन वैज्ञानिकों को नमन करूंगा। अब इतनी दूर से आना था तो कब पहुंचेंगे, 5-50 मिनट इधर उधर हो जाता है। तो मैं यहां आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी, गवर्नर साहब, उन सबको रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि आप इतना जल्दी जल्दी कष्ट मत उठाइए, मैं तो वैज्ञानिकों को प्रणाम करके चला जाऊंगा। तो मैंने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की थी, लेकिन मैं जब विधिवत रूप से कर्नाटक आऊंगा जरूर मुख्यमंत्री जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी प्रोटोकॉल जरूर निभाए। लेकिन उन्होंने सहयोग किया, मैं उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। साथियों, ये समय मुझे यहां उद्बोधन का नहीं है, क्योंकि मेरा मन उन वैज्ञानिकों के पास पहुंचने के लिए बहुत उत्सुक है। लेकिन मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूं कि बेंगलुरु के नागरिकों ने अभी भी उस पल को उमंग और उत्साह से जी करके दिखा रहे हैं। इतने सुबह जो मैं देखता हूं, छोटे छोटे बच्चे भी मुझे नजर आ रहे हैं। ये भारत का भविष्य है। मेरे साथ फिर से बोलिए, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की जय जवान, जय जवान, जय जवान। अब जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साथियों।
Well, so Varghese, the Prime Minister adding to that, our classic ad-lib of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Now there are two more statements that will follow that particular,
Jai Vigyan and Jai
Anusandhan. Jai Vigyan, Jai Science and Jai Research. Hail Science, Hail Research. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, Jai Anusandhan. And the Prime Minister also over there saying that he had made it a point that जब भारत आऊंगा तो सबसे पहले बेंगलुरु आऊंगा. Will definitely meet.
He said he couldn't contain the excitement and he wanted to meet the scientists immediately. Right. He was saying that in Johannesburg, as he was following it, he was also excited about how things were panning out with regards to the mission. And he also said that the same excitement that was there in the diaspora on the moon landing was there in Johannesburg, was there in Greece as well. And when he comes to Bengaluru, he sees the kind of excitement that's there in the city as well. And therefore, it looks like the Prime Minister was taken up by the reception in Bengaluru's HAL airport.
These are visuals, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are just joining us, the Prime Minister is in Bengaluru. After the BRICS summit, he of course went to Greece, and from there he's come directly, touched down in Bengaluru, will go to ISTRAC mission complex from where the Chandrayaan 3 mission was carried out. Essentially all the commands that were the hands-on commands, whatever element of the hands-on principle of commanding our lunar module up in space, that was carried out from this headquarters in Bengaluru. So the Prime Minister is going to be there, and you know what's important to note here, Varghese, is that the Prime Minister is going to himself sit down and look at live images and live research that is being carried out. I mean, he's going to have the VIP seat, he's going to have the best ticket on this planet to understand what Chandrayaan is doing on a live basis. I mean, for us to see also what the Pragyan rover is doing or a lander visual, it comes across in deferred time. But the Prime Minister is going to sit with the project director of Chandrayaan 3, he's going to sit with the ISRO chairman, and he's going to be looking at mega screens and taking a look at exactly what the rover is doing right at that point. He's going to get live visuals. He's going to be pampered over there, basically. That's for sure.
As you said, the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, is one of those Prime Ministers who's actually allocated a lot of amount of money for ISRO, and this is actually a big feather in the cap of ISRO, and it also marks a significant milestone when it comes to ISRO's processes. In fact, we were actually, when we were talking about Chandrayaan, we were talking about how most of ISRO's missions were actually remote sensing, trying for getting weather patterns done, trying to sense. Most of ISRO's missions actually was very domestic in nature, try to give domestic kind of data on farming, on weather patterns, on heat, so many things that the ISRO did remote sensing. So now there's a paradigm shift, and that we are talking about interplanetary exploration that is being carried out. We started off with Chandrayaan 1, and then Mangalyaan, then Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3, and a whole lot of others that is being planned out. The Prime Minister looks like is going to be very generous with the purse when it comes to ISRO's research. We are looking at Aditya L1 to study the sun.
Right.
We are looking at probably a Shukriyaan. We are looking at Mangalyaan with a rover.
Right.
Big exploration project, especially when it comes to...
Big updates, absolutely. And at the same time, of course, what sources are telling us is also the fact that Chandrayaan 3 team is going to be present. Each and every member of the Chandrayaan 3 team is going to be at the ISTRAC center, and top-notch members of the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Thiruvananthapuram, Space Application Center, Ahmedabad, ISRO Propulsion Complex in Thiruvananthapuram, along with 18 other stations. Teams from these places are going to be have been collected at the ISTRAC center in Bengaluru. The Prime Minister is now, of course, on his way to ISTRAC mission complex, and soon we're going to learn about his speech and his meeting with the ISRO scientists, for which the Prime Minister says he's actually very excited. You know what? I'm going to request the control room to take a look at this, Varghese. A lot of pictures that are now coming across. The amount of people that have been stationed, that have gathered outside the ISTRAC mission complex to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. The control room, if you have visuals of the Prime Minister joining in the landing process, do of course play those out as well. Let's show the viewers what it was like when the Prime Minister joined in the landing process, the live telecast of the landing process, and there were, it was a loud applaud, and the Prime Minister was waving that flag as well. It was a huge moment in, Indian history, isn't it, Varghese?
Well, it is a huge moment in Indian history, and at the same time, one of the things that have come to light is also that India has become front runner in the space program, and albeit, one more thing is that we are doing it at a fraction of the cost of what all the others have been spending on.
Lesser than the cost of the Interstellar movie.
And lesser than the cost.
Take a look at that, Varghese. Monumental visuals. Monumental. That's Pragyan rover coming out of lander Vikram. Figuratively, of course, Vikram Sarabhai himself. And the Pragyan rover. Take a look at that. The first few marks that it leaves on the lunar surface. I mean, you can watch this particular video back to back again and again. And the Prime Minister is in Bengaluru for this very reason, Varghese, because he understands the monumental occasion that this is. And he must come and congratulate and thank the ISRO scientist himself.
Well, you remember the last time when he was there, when Chandrayaan 2 had failed, there was huge disappointment. But he encouraged the entire scientific community, saying that do not worry. And when we talk to the scientists, we come to know that the Prime Minister did ask him, so if to do a second rover kind of a thing, how much would it cost? So he said, we are ready, we can go ahead with it, and this would be the cost. He said, then don't worry about it. And the confidence that he had in the scientists is what has paid out right now with the landing of the rover on the moon. So, historic moment, as you said, the rover rolling out on the lunar surface, and at a place where a lot of people have been trying to attempt to land. The lunar South Pole. Excitedly enough, we are the fourth nation to land on the moon as a craft and a robotic rover. But one of the excitements of it is that we are the first nation to land on the southern pole area of the moon. A lot of countries have tried it. The Chinese have tried it, they have failed. The Japanese tried it, they have failed. The ESA has tried it, they have also failed. The Russians recently tried it and they have failed. So it has been a catch-22 kind of a situation for a lot of people, because it is excited that they want to go. The race was towards the southern pole because of this data that was being collected, saying that there was water in the southern areas and probably a highly rarefied kind of an atmosphere once the water gets heated up, and that also was a possibility there. So these events made it an exciting place to carry on with your exploration, and the entire scientific community around the world is waiting with bated breath to find out what discoveries would Pragyan make and send it through the Vikram lander towards ISRO. So they are looking for that data, because that data could be crucial for this mission completely. Because as I was saying, we have several plans in place. The Americans are looking for a crewed mission and probably for a permanent stay on moon. You know, we remember the International Space Station becoming that exciting thing in 1990s and 2000s.
Right.
We had Mir, which was put out by the Russians. People going up to Mir and conducting scientific experiments and coming down, that was the data that we were looking. Now having a base on the moon is going to be significant. Now we have an ISS, that is the International Space Station, and then having a colony, or a kind of a, I won't say colony, it's too big, but at least having a scientific station on the moon, just like you have it in Antarctica. Well, that kind of excites, because that will have two places just outside the planet.
And, you know, let's quickly play out those visuals of, you know, the Prime Minister joining in the live telecast of the landing. You know, it was, I'm again saying it, the magnanimity of that particular moment, that particular pinpoint moment in India's space history, space research history. A huge leap. 30, 40 years from now, of course, we'll look back and we'll say that it was just, you know, a small step in our, you know,
30, 40 years in the future,
there
we
you
will...
go. That's the day. Take a look at that. Everybody clapping, and the Prime Minister who had joined in and waving that flag, you know, and what a show-off moment it must have been for the Prime Minister, who was at that moment present at the BRICS summit. It was, you know, the penultimate day of the BRICS summit when India made this humongous landing, achieved this, you know, lunar accolade, if I could put it that way. And the Prime Minister waved that flag, and right after that, the Prime Minister gave a call to the ISRO chairman as well. If the control room does in fact have that, you know, that conversation, let's play that out, because that conversation really shows how interested and involved the Prime Minister was, even when he was outside.
No, those were the images.
और सोमनाथ नाम चंद्र से जुड़ा हुआ है, और इसलिए आज आपके परिवारजन भी बहुत आनंदित होंगे। मेरी तरफ से आपको, आपकी पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई, और सबको मेरी तरफ से अभिनंदन कह दीजिए, और हो सके उतना जल्दी मैं आप सबको रूबरू में भी बधाई दूंगा। बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं और बहुत बहुत बधाई।
Well, that was the Prime Minister, Kabir, quite excited, as you were saying, wishing the scientific community who was responsible for that landing on that moon, historic occasion for the country, and the moment when Chandrayaan touched down and those excitement in that ISTRAC center, Somnath, the chief of ISRO, in fact, standing up, and there was a huge wave of excitement that we saw there, and the Prime Minister, just after that, getting in touch with the scientists, and today coming in down to just meet with the scientists early in the morning.
In that phone call, Varghese, the Prime Minister says that I will come back and I am meeting you. So, you know, don't get the celebrations over with already. the celebrations have to continue for a little bit longer.
Kabir, yesterday you were doing a special program on Aditya L1. I think this is going to be a series of mission that we are in fact going to see from ISRO as such. Very exciting missions that this is going to be a chronosphere reading that is probably what Aditya L1 is going to have. But then a Chandrayaan, you know, Venus is the closer compared to Mars and we've made it to Mars. So I think Chandrayaan is again in the realm of possibilities. And we had some of the scientists saying that some work has already started in almost all these missions. So I think we are going to have a very, very interesting ISRO making history kind of sorts in the coming years, maybe 2-3 years, some of the best launches that we are going to see and imprinting ourselves as a spacefaring nation.
Absolutely, Varghese. ISRO's ISTRAC, what a tongue twister that is early in the morning. We'll see the latest footage of lander Vikram and the Pragyan rover. Prime Minister Modi, I think he's pretty much there already. We're getting deferred visuals. Maybe we'll get the speech live, but it seems like he must have already made his way to ISTRAC.
Well, the Prime Minister, of course, quite excited and has landed in Bengaluru's HAL airport. He'll be making his way to ISRO to have a meeting with the scientists who are behind the Chandrayaan mission. The Chandrayaan mission, especially the third part of that mission, being very, very successful. Well, again, oh yes, we spoke about the probes that are being sent, but Gaganyaan will be the highlight of it, sending a man to space.
Well, let's listen into what the Prime Minister had to say to all these people who had, flocked at that gathering point right outside the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited airport in Bengaluru. Let's listen into what the Prime Minister had to say. He's excited to meet the ISRO scientists.
सूर्योदय की बेला हो और बेंगलुरु का ये नजारा हो, देश के वैज्ञानिक देश को जब इतनी बड़ी सौगात देते हैं, इतनी बड़ी सिद्धि प्राप्त करते हैं, तो जो दृश्य मुझे आज बेंगलुरु में दिख रहा है, वही मुझे ग्रीस में भी दिखाई दिया, जोहान्सबर्ग में भी दिखाई दिया। दुनिया के हर कोने में न सिर्फ भारतीय विज्ञान में विश्वास करने वाले, भविष्य को देखने वाले, मानवता को समर्पित सब लोग इतने ही उमंग और उत्साह से भरे हुए हैं। आप सुबह सुबह इतना जल्दी आए, मेरा तो मैं अपने आप को रोक नहीं पा रहा था, क्योंकि मैं यहां से दूर विदेश में था। तो मैंने तय किया कि भारत जाऊंगा तो पहले बेंगलुरु जाऊंगा। सबसे पहले उन वैज्ञानिकों को नमन करूंगा। अब इतनी दूर से आना था तो कब पहुंचेंगे, 5-50 मिनट इधर उधर हो जाता है। तो मैं यहां आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी, गवर्नर साहब, उन सबको रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि आप इतना जल्दी जल्दी कष्ट मत उठाइए, मैं तो वैज्ञानिकों को प्रणाम करके चला जाऊंगा। तो मैंने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की थी लेकिन मैं जब विधिवत रूप से कर्नाटक आऊंगा जरूर मुख्यमंत्री जी उप मुख्यमंत्री जी प्रोटोकॉल जरूर निभाए, लेकिन उन्होंने सहयोग किया, मैं उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। साथियों, ये समय मुझे यहां उद्बोधन का नहीं है, क्योंकि मेरा मन उन वैज्ञानिकों के पास पहुंचने के लिए बहुत उत्सुक है। लेकिन मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूं कि बेंगलुरु के नागरिकों ने अभी भी उस पल को उमंग और उत्साह से जी करके दिखा रहे हैं। इतने सुबह मैं देखता हूं छोटे छोटे बच्चे भी मुझे नजर आ रहे हैं। ये भारत का भविष्य है। मेरे साथ फिर से बोलिए, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की जय जवान, जय जवान, जय जवान। अब जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साथियों।
Well, so the Prime Minister did in fact make sure that he thanked everybody to come out early in the morning because he was landing, I think it was 5:55 this morning when he arrived at the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited airport in Bengaluru. He was then greeted by a lot of BJP ministers. I saw R. Ashoka's photograph somewhere.
I mean, former BJP ministers.
Former Revenue Minister of Karnataka, because well, the dispensation has only recently changed hands, and both again at each other's loggerheads. But we'll talk about Karnataka politics some other day. Today, let's focus on the big achievement, which is not just a Karnataka-specific achievement. To an extent, I'd go on and say it's not even an India specific achievement. It's a humankind specific achievement. It's a universal endeavor where India has led the way. India has held that torch in an attempt to show the torch right back at the sun. To have that kind of bravery, that's something that India has showcased and done. First ever country on the South Pole, ladies and gentlemen. And Varghese, when we're saying first country on the South Pole of the lunar surface, we're also the only fourth such nation on this planet after the USSR back in the day. Well, because the Soviet and their space research has been on point ever since. Recently, the Chinese and the Chang'e in 2020 collected lunar rock samples, brought it back. Again, groundbreaking. So China, again, right up there when it comes to space research. And of course, everybody knows the name NASA. Many a time synonymous with space research for many who don't really know the various agencies that are available. So NASA, you've got United States, China, USSR, and now India. Add India to that list, ladies and gentlemen. We have those visuals of the Pragyan rover. I'm going to again ask the control room to, of course, put those visuals up for people to see what Pragyan rover essentially looks like. There are a lot of people who have missed out on the Pragyan rover when it rolled out of the Vikram lander. Really, suggesting that this is India that's set foot on the moon. It's a moonwalk, that famous Michael Jackson step, Varghese, except this time around it's the Pragyan and it's a rover that's got 6 wheels that's doing it on the lunar surface. But that's how smooth a moonwalk actually should be. And with as smooth the landing that it was, the smooth conduct of the entire mission and the project, well, you can say that it actually was a successful moonwalk as well.
Well, it is interesting enough that we see the visuals coming in as such of an event that's happened a world away, rather, if we can say. And here, when we talk about ISRO ISRO did not have it easy, isn't it, Kabir? It did not have it easy at all. There were people who were mocking at India's space program from the earliest on, but the perseverance is what has led to this kind of an achievement. And now people are, saying that it's time that we have collaborations with the ISRO. ISRO seems to be able to put things in place. So it looks like suddenly the world has discovered ISRO as a very reliable partner when it comes to things. And the collaborations is not only between, earlier only 3 space agencies probably had a collaboration, or also close collaborations were probably there only between the ESA as well as NASA, that is the European Space Agency, as well as NASA. That was the kind of collaboration. The others were in competition, the Chinese or the Russians, the Roscosmos or China's space agencies were kind of, because they had militaristic connections as well. So because of that, NASA and ESA were probably the ones who had close cooperation. But interestingly enough, NASA is now confident in giving instruments and also to put its instruments on ISRO projects. That is something big. That shows the confidence in India's ingenuity, its science, as well as its ability to ensure that that confidence is given to foreign space agencies, that they can put their instrumentation on its projects as well and get the data done. So that goes a long way from being mocked for trying to reach space. But I think it is no longer a mocking matter, it is no longer a laughing matter. There are people who are saying that, recently the controversy that happened saying that UK should withdraw its aid that is being given to India because we have a successful space agency. And interestingly enough, I was looking at that particular debate on it, and it looks like the people, especially the person who had raised that issue about getting the aid back, was oblivious to the fact that the entire world scenario has changed. India is out of colonialism. India is on its own firm footing. It's the 5th largest economy, much larger than what UK could be, and at the same time the empire doesn't exist anymore. So anyone with that colonial mindset, if they think that empire can strike back kind of a mindset, is still out there. I think they need to be told that well, wake up and smell the coffee.
Well, and Varghese, what's your opinion on the fact that, it's not just going to be members of Chandrayaan 3, the team. It's not going to be just the members at ISTRAC Bengaluru. There are going to be members that are going to come from Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sri Harikota. There's going to be people coming in from the propulsion center in Thiruvananthapuram. They're going to come from the Vikram Sarabhai Center in Thiruvananthapuram. So these are like top-notch ISRO facilities. And a total of 20 plus of those, core members and the, top members of those facilities are going to be present here at ISTRAC. So the Prime Minister, is making sure that he's not going to, make other scientists feel jealous that, just because Chandrayaan 3 landed on the moon, you're meeting just Chandrayaan 3's team. He's going to be meeting a huge number of ISRO scientists, and it's going to be an umbrella, session. There are going to be a lot of people. So the Prime Minister has also made sure that koi bura na maan jaye. He'll make sure that everybody gets a chance to meet him and greet him. And even as we're talking, it seems like that particular meet greet must be on any minute now, ladies and gentlemen. We might get visuals. For those of you who are just joining us, the Prime Minister coming from the BRICS summit and then stopping over at Greece as well. Several rounds of talks held with the country of Greece. And after that, coming to, of course, India, touching down in Bengaluru first, only to congratulate and thank the ISRO scientists. Visuals, Varghese, take a look at this. From Bengaluru, where we can again see a convoy. It seems like must be the Prime Minister's cavalcade that is on its way to the mission complex in ISTRAC in Bengaluru. Look at the amount of people who still come. Sankalp Dharti Par couldn't read up ahead, but of course a motivation.
I think the idea I get when you said Sankalp Dharti, I think they envisioned it on Earth and achievement is on the moon. I think that's what they were trying to get.
And with what the Prime Minister said, that Jai Vigyan, Jai Anusandhan need to be added to Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan. So Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, Jai Anusandhan is going to be the new motto that's going to be driving kids, because the Prime Minister also said that I can see that there are a couple of kids also present here early in the morning, and it's great that the kids have also come out early in the morning. and Anusandhan, research and science being fostered at an early age in children when they're still impressionable is certainly going to be a welcome step that the parents are going to think about.
Well, it is going to be that aspect of it, but also, there is a lot of triggered interest in pure sciences now as well. You remember the courses, for pure sciences that was there, like a bachelor's in science, or they were not getting that kind of a scope. But now it has come to light that pure sciences is required. A lot of people doing research in pure sciences is required. It's not only applied sciences that they are looking at.
3 stars on that car, Varghese.
Well, that's a police. It's a police officer's car of a particular rank that we see that has already come in to
So
take
the
stock.
dignitaries are beginning to trickle in at this particular ISTRAC mission complex. Take a look at that. Somebody that has been live visuals coming in, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the control room is telling us. Look at these live visuals. The Prime Minister waving at the people from outside his dashingly, black matte finished Range Rover. Stands outside the passenger door, waves to everybody that's come out to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister.
Well,
security
it
absolutely
slowly seems to be turning into a roadshow as well. It seems to be like the Prime Minister is being welcomed on the streets of Bengaluru. It's early in the morning, and you have quite a number of people who have turned out to welcome the Prime Minister. So it's turning out to be a roadshow in Bengaluru for the Prime Minister, and you have people turning up in numbers as well. And all of them, interestingly, none of them are holding a party flag. They're all holding the Indian tricolour. So we can't say that, it's only the BJP workers or anyone who's come. It looks like it's that moment of pride for the nation. And the Prime Minister is the head of one of the head of the states, rather, is
that's actually a great observation. No party flag, no the symbol of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the lotus. You can't see it anywhere. So it's this only the tricolour everywhere, because it's an achievement for India. I think that's the point that the Prime Minister wants to further himself as well today, Varghese.
Yeah, he in fact, if you look at the speech, he was saying that he spoke to the Chief Minister as well as the governors and said that, see, I'm just coming in, I just want to meet this thing, you don't need to come and follow the protocol. When I come on an official visit, yes, you can go ahead with the protocol and follow it up. So now it's just a personal visit that I want to carry on with.
These are visuals from Jalahalli Chowk, which is outside the HAL airport, if I'm not wrong, Varghese, because I've only visited Karnataka near election season, or if a news story was to be done, never for recreation or vacation. But I know for a fact that you've pretty much grown up in Karnataka. Take a look at that, the petals that are being showered on the Prime Minister. Every time the Prime Minister visits Bengaluru, this petal showering is actually quite organic and specific to Bengaluru, because I haven't seen something like this take place in Tamil Nadu or in Odisha, but in Bengaluru it always does happen like that.
Well, the Prime Minister has a huge following in Karnataka and in Bengaluru as well. You can see the entire street being lined up by enthusiasts, all of them holding the Indian tricolour. So as we were saying, it is a matter of pride. This is about India that we're talking about, the achievement with regard to India that has been put in place. So and of course the Prime Minister being given that huge welcome by people in Bengaluru early in the morning, lining up in Jalahalli. They are lining up at the roads over there, and of course a huge cavalcade just behind him, making their way towards the ISTRAC center. And as he's proceeding towards it, of course the Prime Minister is known to interact with the crowds, and he is known to be given a huge rally of sorts. The manner in which we in fact see the great the great kind of manner in which we find the welcome being given to the Prime Minister at Bengaluru's Jalahalli as he makes his way towards ISTRAC. The Prime Minister excited about meeting with the scientists, and meanwhile on the road it looks like it is a roadshow that we are seeing right at the moment, where the Prime Minister has been given a welcome by the crowd in Bengaluru early in the morning. Many of them, in fact, are turning out, and the Prime Minister also making interactions with the concerned authorities as well. He did go ahead and say that he told the Chief Minister as well as the Governor that it was just a visit to immediately meet with the scientists, and after that he'll be on his way back. When he officially visits Bengaluru, then they can in fact go ahead and carry on with the protocol required for them to be at the airport. So he said that they also cooperated with him, and as you can see right now, we have a huge gathering in Bengaluru, on Bengaluru streets, where people have lined up to welcome the Prime Minister, and there the cavalcade in fact heading albeit a little slow towards the ISTRAC center. So right now we can see the Prime Minister waving towards the crowd. Huge welcome being given to the Prime Minister as he moves towards the location.
उनकी एक झलक पाने के लिए वो वहां पे आतुर दिख रहे हैं, और प्रधानमंत्री भी अपने गाड़ी से उतरकर हाथ हिलाकर उनका अभिवादन स्वीकार कर रहे हैं। तो ये बहुत ही अहम तस्वीरें हम आपको इस वक्त दिखा रहे हैं बेंगलुरु से, जहां प्रधानमंत्री का काफिला इसरो के वैज्ञानिकों से मिलने के लिए जा रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री टेलीमेट्री, ट्रैकिंग और कमांड नेटवर्क वहां पहुंचेंगे और वहां वैज्ञानिकों के साथ मुलाकात करेंगे, उनसे उनके अनुभवों को जानेंगे। आयशा,
से गुजर रहा है क्योंकि ये पीनिया के करीब है और यहाँ पर सुबह से लगातार लोग जुटे थे।
Well, so the Prime Minister arrived today at 5:55 a.m. this very morning at the HAL airport, and he stayed on to the airport, met a couple of BJP ministers, well, former ministers, now just BJP leaders, since the recent change in the dispensation in Karnataka. Later on, there was a proper welcome by the BJP Karyakartas, and there was a proper road show for a kilometer in Peña. All of this is, of course, planned. It was scheduled. Later on, the Prime Minister, as you can see, is on his way to the ISRO Telemetry and Tracking and Command Network, the ISTRAC in Bengaluru. ISRO's ISTRAC. ISTRAC essentially telemetry, tracking and command network, from where all the commands were essentially given to our lander module up in the space. You know, some of those very crucial commands were given from ISTRAC, Varghese. Entering the lunar orbit is, a real tough task. The margin of error is very little. That particular command was also given from ISTRAC. And the best part is that from ISTRAC, he will get the live feed, the live visuals. You remember what it was like when we made the landing now, didn't you? We have been tracking the Chandrayaan journey for the last 45 days now, it seems now, Varghese.
Almost, yes.
Almost 2 months. And it's just great to see that, it was flawless. It was absolutely on time. And just take a look at those visuals again when the Prime Minister joined in via virtual conferencing. And at the ISTRAC Center, that particular announcement of Chandrayaan 3, our Vikram lander making touchdown on the lunar surface, and everybody started clapping. There was a huge roar of applause, and people with drums and various patriotic songs from the entire length and breadth of the country. People were praying. There were pujas that were being held. People were praying inside mosques. There were special gatherings at churches. You name it. The entire country was together. I think it was almost like a festival. So maybe 23rd of August next year, Varghese, we can expect a holiday maybe?
I have maybe what I think, yes, probably with saying
National Indian Lunar Research Day.
Or maybe National Indian Science Day. I think they must be having a deal of that. But the fact remains is that, yes, it is a historical moment. You cannot deny that particular aspect of it. And Kabir, the thing is that, what does it mean to be on the moon? Okay, geopolitically, it's a big yes when it comes to placing India on the world map. To say that we have the capacity to develop sensitive technologies, this could become your hub for manufacturing.
Sophisticated as well.
We are already the backroom of the world. I mean, the backroom office of the world. Only thing that we are left out is with regard to the fact that
You know what, Varghese? Let's quickly listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say this very morning when he came outside the HAL airport and he greeted the, all the people that had gathered over there. He said that there are kids that are over here. It's so great to see that everybody came out early in the morning. And he says that मैं बहुत उत्सुक था ISRO के scientists से मिलने के लिए. So let's listen into that reaction. Prime Minister's excitement on display.
Lander module.
सूर्योदय की बेला हो और बेंगलुरु का ये नजारा हो, देश के वैज्ञानिक देश को जब इतनी बड़ी सौगात देते हैं, इतनी बड़ी सिद्धि प्राप्त करते हैं, तो जो दृश्य मुझे आज बेंगलुरु में दिख रहा है, वही मुझे ग्रीस में भी दिखाई दिया, जोहान्सबर्ग में भी दिखाई दिया। दुनिया के हर कोने में न सिर्फ भारतीय विज्ञान में विश्वास करने वाले, भविष्य को देखने वाले, मानवता को समर्पित सब लोग इतने ही उमंग और उत्साह से भरे हुए हैं। आप सुबह सुबह इतना जल्दी आए, मेरा तो मैं अपने आप को रोक नहीं पा रहा था, क्योंकि मैं यहां से दूर विदेश में था। तो मैंने तय किया कि भारत जाऊंगा तो पहले बेंगलुरु जाऊंगा। सबसे पहले उन वैज्ञानिकों को नमन करूंगा। अब इतनी दूर से आना था तो कब पहुंचेंगे, 5-50 मिनट इधर उधर हो जाता है। तो मैं यहां आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी, गवर्नर साहब, उन सबको रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि आप इतना जल्दी जल्दी कष्ट मत उठाइए, मैं तो वैज्ञानिकों को प्रणाम करके चला जाऊंगा। तो मैंने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की थी, लेकिन मैं जब विधिवत रूप से कर्नाटक आऊंगा, जरूर मुख्यमंत्री जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री जी प्रोटोकॉल जरूर निभाए। लेकिन उन्होंने सहयोग किया, मैं उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। साथियों, ये समय मुझे यहां उद्बोधन का नहीं है, क्योंकि मेरा मन उन वैज्ञानिकों के पास पहुंचने के लिए बहुत उत्सुक है। लेकिन मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूं कि बेंगलुरु के नागरिकों ने अभी भी उस पल को उमंग और उत्साह से जी करके दिखा रहे हैं। इतने सुबह मैं देखता हूं छोटे छोटे बच्चे भी मुझे नजर आ रहे हैं। ये भारत का भविष्य है। मेरे साथ फिर से बोलिए, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की जय जवान, जय जवान, जय जवान। अब जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान, जय विज्ञान। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साथियों।
And you know, when the Prime Minister is talking about the excitement as well, his excitement he couldn't hide when he was in South Africa as well. But let me just tell you that. When he was in South Africa, right after the landing, he dialed up as Somnath, ISRO's chairman. Those who are just joining us, let's play that reaction again for you. Listen in to the excitement of the Prime Minister, of the ISRO chairman, because we were watching that live, Varghese, let's not forget. And when we were watching that live, the ISRO chairman did pick out his phone from his pocket
immediately,
and you knew that it was the Prime Minister. What was that conversation like? Listen in.
जी, आपका तो नाम सोमनाथ और सोमनाथ नाम चंद्र से जुड़ा हुआ है और इसलिए आज आपके परिवारजन भी बहुत आनंदित होंगे। मेरी तरफ से आपको, आपकी पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई और सबको मेरी तरफ से अभिनंदन कह दीजिए और हो सके उतना जल्दी मैं आप सबको रूबरू में भी बधाई दूंगा। बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं और बहुत बहुत बधाई। ओके
वर्गीज, आपको भी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं और बहुत बहुत बधाई।
I know it is. From the moment they had launched, remember Kabir, I was telling you, keeping my fingers crossed because I wanted to ensure that everything goes flawless. The other thing was when we in fact look at how Chandrayaan 2 had gone, I had followed that mission also quite well. But I mean, when it crashed, it was heartbreaking at that point. But then now, all that hard work has paid off.
You know what? It's interesting that we're looking at these visuals as well. People, I was looking at a lot of comments on the X microblogging website, formerly known as Twitter. A lot of people, saying that why is there a need for a road show? Because, the schedule was already out late last evening. And there you have it, Varghese. Road show or no road show. The Prime Minister
is at ISTRAC over there.
Was the point. Look at that. The ISRO chairman and all the team of Chandrayaan 3 and the top members of Satish Dhawan Space Center, the propulsion complex center in Thiruvananthapuram, Vikram Sarabhai Center. That's the visual over there. The pat on the back, the pat of congratulations, the pat of of achievement, the pat of success, all of that S. Somnath must have felt. He must have, those pats are still reverberating on the back of S. Somnath, let me tell you that. He's probably going to sleep on his stomach today. S. Somnath is going to sleep on his stomach today.
Well, as Somnath being congratulated, along with the team of Chandrayaan being congratulated, the Prime Minister being welcomed.
That's the project director.
That is the project director of this project called Chandrayaan. It is. It's a very exciting moment for the scientists themselves because they were given a task that was supposed to have been very complicated, very tough, and at the same time they couldn't technically expect to be a failure because the world's eyes were on that particular project because they wanted to see how India would manage to do it. And there were our rivals who said that these people are playing with toys. Some of those nations that can't even send a rocket to the upper atmosphere, these were the nations that were in fact trying to judge us on what happened with Chandrayaan. But anyway, this achievement does go ahead and shut them up completely. So I think it's a big international stamp that happened when India was able to land the rover on Chandrayaan. And what a exciting
and these hugs are real tight hugs, all right? These are not your formality hugs. These are the real tight ones, like get in here, boy. Good job.
Yeah, exactly, that's the thing.
It's that kind of a vibe, and of course, all smiles. What a big day for all these ISRO scientists as well. Finally getting a chance to converse with the Prime Minister one-on-one. Getting a picture, it's a proper photo op, beg your pardon. The Prime Minister, so he lands, he speaks to the gathering, he holds a small road show, then goes to the ISTRAC, which is the telemetry and commanding station in Bengaluru, from where the entire mission was carried out, and meets with the ISRO scientists. So it's like a full circle for the Prime Minister. Diplomacy, science and research, from the BRICS summit to Bengaluru and ISRO's ISTRAC in Bengaluru. The Prime Minister does know how to conduct these kind of things now, doesn't he?
He knows how to conduct these things really well, and right now
BRICS expansion at the BRICS, talking about the Greece wildfires at that bilateral talks in Greece. From there, directly touching down in Bengaluru, saying that, I appreciate that all of you came out early in the morning, because the man is, full of energy. After the BRICS summit, a lot of jokes were, doing the rounds on the internet that maybe Prime Minister Modi is taking a break in Greece. But no, that wasn't the case. He was actually holding bilateral talks.
Well, there we have the ISRO chairman explaining the entire, through the model, the rover, the lander, and how the entire project has taken off.
But this gives us as well an idea of what the life size, actual dimensions of
the Vikram lander as well as the rover could be. Yeah, it looks like that. We are getting an idea about how big that rover as well as the thing is. Now, I think he's been given an explanation on the instruments that have been there on the lander, as well as the payloads that was there.
There you go, the shape system. The names are also written over there. The shape, the chast, the rambhas, the APXS,
that is an image of that rover that just rolled out on the surface of the moon, and this is what is now doing the scientific work. How about we
split those visuals? If the control room can split these visuals of the Prime Minister learning about the rover and the rover actually on the moon, moonwalking on India's behalf, on behalf of the ISRO team, and of course the Prime Minister and S. Somnath as well. But like I said, S. Somnath certainly sleeping on his stomach today, Varghese. So is the entire Chandrayaan 3 team, because of the pats that they've received on the back. And like I'm saying, pats of achievement, success, organization, unity, teamwork, you name it. These people deserve it. Kudos to the scientific community of India.
Well, the scientific community of India this is one of the biggest feathers in its cap when it came to the scientific community. And one of the things that we also should in fact take a look at is that I think a lot of big ticket projects are going to happen from ISRO, and probably even in other scientific quarters. It's not only ISRO that was involved in this. There is a lot of private space agencies that gained valuable experience from this. A lot of private agencies have gained valuable experience when it came to manufacturing of complicated electronics, instrumentations. So this project is also about a wealth of information, wealth of development of technology, wealth of proof of concept, and I think if you're looking at a rover kind of a thing, I think the next big ambition of ISRO would to have a rover on Mars. Now, on Mars, of course, we know the Americans have been sending in several of them. So, Spirit, Curiosity, several such rovers have been in fact been sent by the Americans for a very long time onto the Martian surface. I think it is time that we are able to in fact send one rover to and that would be the next Mangalyaan mission, because we already sent the orbiter. I think this would be the rover on the surface.
Mission to Venus also on the cards. Maybe we'll send a rover over there, Varghese, as well.
Well, the only And that too, it was a rough landing. When the only country that has been able to put a probe or crash land, is the Venera probe of the Soviet Union on Venus, because Venus has its own challenges. It's got a very hot surface. It's got cloud cover. Unlike Mars, where you have an atmosphere which is quite kind of Earth, but a little less dense. At the same time, with Venus, it's got dense clouds, and we don't know whether it will survive as well. But the Russians have been able to land on Venus to find out what exactly the data they can collect from Venus. We know a lot about it from the Venera probes that the Soviet Union has launched. So right now, I think probably Chandrayaan, as it's being said, would be mostly on the ground. Will be mostly on the ground, will be mostly an orbiter first, and then probably they'll think of a rover, because the dynamics on Venus is totally different from Mars or even on the moon. But we'll be testing a lot of our technologies on the moon, and probably after that Mars, and then Venus, because Venus, though it's closer to the Earth, has its own different dynamics.
Well, so ISRO Chief S. Somnath, after greeting the Prime Minister, explaining exactly what the Pragyan rover and the lander Vikram are all about, what they're going to essentially be up to, what they're going to be doing. S. Somnath also, laid a lot of emphasis, Varghese, on the upcoming missions. Aditya L1, September 2023, Gaganyaan. There's a mission that's coming in collaboration with the United States, Artemis. There's a mission in collaboration with Japan called Lupex. There's a Chandrayaan that's on the cards. The ISRO chairman himself, S. Somnath, he's got his hands full at this moment, doesn't he?
It's not only the ISRO chairman Somnath. Now, whoever is going to sit on that hot seat are going to have their hands full, because I think this has opened up a series of ambitions, and at the same time, we are going to in fact see how ISRO is going to just expand its horizons. Well, it's not only about domestic, it is about space explorations, new technologies, and how those new technologies that ISRO developed would soon be making a difference in our daily lives also. Technologies that are developed over here, especially when it comes to material science, electronics, tend to make way to private sectors, and from then onwards to our lives as well. So this achievement is not limited to the moon. It's development of technology that has taken place by ISRO in these places. Well, it could have a huge effect on our private lives as well, because as I was telling you, hardened electronics, the kind of tech they have discovered, it could make way for better products, electronic products as well. So it's not just an achievement. A lot of people criticize these missions, saying that why do we have to spend a lot of money on this? The question is, it's not about the main focus of that mission. The kind of spin-off of technology that we get when we carry on with such missions tend to have a ripple effect down later, and that is why a lot of countries, for example, material sciences had taken leaps and bounds when the space research happened and when the space race happened. We were developing materials that were totally different from traditional understanding. How the shuttles work. We have developed ceramics that can withstand huge amount of heat. That did make way into a local production as well. It did have an effect on creating furnaces for steel melting and other things. So you have these technologies actually having a ripple effect. It has a trickle-down effect as well. It's not only a ripple effect, it has a trickle-down effect. So when you're investing into these technologies...
Visuals from inside the telemetry and commanding center, from where we exactly saw the live telecast. Look at these visuals. Everybody is clapping. They're applauding for themselves, of course, and the Prime Minister walking amongst them, of course, applauding to each and every one of them. The day must be dedicated to these ISRO scientists, and why not? Rightly so, for the work that they have carried out. The Prime Minister joined it right here, and from here he's going to see exactly what is going to be happening live up there. Take a look at the screens behind there. I'm more interested in the mega screens behind all these scientists. Will we catch something that the ISRO Twitter page is not putting out?
Well, I think you were actually saying that the Prime Minister will be given some
Live feed.
Live
He'll,
feed.
he'll be fed live data himself.
I think he's taken a seat and he is going to be given
I
that
told you the
big,
Prime Minister is going to be pampered. I wish I was in that position, but well, of course,
by landing on the moon. Chandrayaan
he's the Prime Minister,
landed softly
and
on the
hence
moon.
he's got access to all these.
We were very
cool
fortunate to
things.
have our Honorable Prime Minister, though away, he joined us live to greet us, to congratulate us, to be with us. And thank you so much for your presence during such a historic day. You promised us that you will come and meet us on that day. And you are here. And thank you so much for your gracious presence today amongst us. And today we look forward to your words of wisdom, your vision, your expectation from us. And for all those words, we are at ears to you. Honorable प्रधानमंत्री जी, आपको मेरा स्वागत इसरो में ये कंट्रोल सेंटर में. Thank you, sir. So we are seeing the ramp being deployed now. This is animation. We'll see the real. Next solar panel of the ramp of the rover Pragyan opens. Then it establishes communication with the lander. Then it slowly comes out. Now the rover has already moved 12 meters. So we'll see the onboard camera visuals. So this is a camera mounted on the side just before the ramp deployment. So what you're seeing is the deployment of the ramp with the rover mounted on that. The solar panel of the rover is deployed already and it is getting released and moving towards moon, sir. So these images take a lot of time to come to Earth because data rate and processing. So now this is the early morning image of today morning. The rover is almost out of the field of view. It will turn in the day today and look at the lander and take more pictures. Thank you.
नमस्कार फ्रेंड्स। आप सभी के बीच आकर आज एक अलग ही खुशी महसूस कर रहा हूं। शायद ऐसी खुशी बहुत रेयर ओकेजन होते हैं जब तन मन खुशियों से भर गया हो। और व्यक्ति के जीवन में कई बार ऐसी घटनाएं घटती हैं कि वो बेसब्री हावी हो जाती है। इस बार मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही हुआ है। इतनी बेसब्री, मैं साउथ अफ्रीका में था, फिर ग्रीस का कार्यक्रम था तो वहां चला गया, लेकिन मेरा मन पूरी तरह आपके साथ ही लगा हुआ था। लेकिन कभी कभी लगता है कि मैं आप लोगों के साथ अन्याय कर देता हूं। बेसब्री मेरी और मुसीबत आपकी। इतनी सवेरे सवेरे आप सभी को और इतना और टाइम, लेकिन बस मन कर रहा था जाऊं आपको नमन करूं। आपको दिक्कत हुई होगी, लेकिन मैं भारत में आते ही जल्द से जल्द आपके दर्शन करना चाहता था। आप सबको सैल्यूट करना चाहता था। सैल्यूट आपके परिश्रम को, सैल्यूट आपके धैर्य को, सैल्यूट आपकी लगन को, सैल्यूट आपकी जीवटता को, सैल्यूट आपके जज्बे को। आप देश को जिस ऊंचाई पर लेकर गए हैं, ये कोई साधारण सफलता नहीं है। ये अनंत अंतरिक्ष में भारत के वैज्ञानिक सामर्थ्य का शंखनाद है। इंडिया India is on the moon. We have our national pride placed on the moon. हम वहां पहुंचे जहां कोई नहीं पहुंचा था। हमने वो किया जो पहले कभी किसी ने नहीं किया था। ये आज का भारत है, निर्भीक भारत, जुझारू भारत। ये वो भारत है जो नया सोचता है, नए तरीके से सोचता है, जो डार्क जोन में जाकर भी दुनिया में रोशनी की किरण फैला देता है। 21वीं सदी में यही भारत दुनिया की बड़ी बड़ी समस्याओं का समाधान करेगा। मेरी आंखों के सामने 23 अगस्त का वो दिन, वो एक एक सेकंड बार बार घूम रहा है। जब टचडाउन कंफर्म हुआ तो जिस तरह यहां इसरो सेंटर में पूरे देश में लोग उछल पड़े, वो दृश्य कौन भूल सकता है। कुछ स्मृतियां अमर हो जाती है। वो पल अमर हो गया। वो पल इस सदी के सबसे प्रेरणादायी क्षणों में से एक है। हर भारतीय को लग रहा था कि विजय उसकी अपनी है। खुद महसूस करता था। हर भारतीय को लग रहा था कि जैसे वो खुद एक बड़े एग्जाम में पास हो गया है। आज भी बधाइयां दी जा रही है, संदेश दिए जा रहे हैं, और ये सब मुमकिन बनाया है आप सबने, आपने। देश के मेरे वैज्ञानिकों ने ये मुमकिन बनाया है। मैं आप सबका जितना गुणगान करूं वो कम है। मैं आपकी जितनी सराहना करूं वो कम है। साथियों, मैंने वो फोटो देखी जिसमें हमारे मून लैंडर ने अंगद की तरह चंद्रमा पर मजबूती से अपना पैर जमाया हुआ है। एक तरफ विक्रम का विश्वास है तो दूसरी तरफ प्रज्ञान का पराक्रम है। हमारा प्रज्ञान लगातार चंद्रमा पर अपने पद चिन्ह छोड़ रहा है। अलग अलग कैमरों से ली गई जो तस्वीरें अभी रिलीज हुई और मुझे देखने का सौभाग्य मिला, वो अद्भुत है। मानव सभ्यता में पहली बार धरती के लाखों साल के इतिहास में पहली बार उस स्थान की तस्वीर मानव अपनी आंखों से देख रहा है और ये तस्वीर दुनिया को दिखाने का काम भारत ने किया है। आप सभी वैज्ञानिकों ने किया है। आज पूरी दुनिया भारत की साइंटिफिक स्पिरिट का, हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी का और हमारे साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट का लोहा मान चुकी है। चंद्रयान महाअभियान सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की सफलता है। हमारा मिशन जिस क्षेत्र को एक्सप्लोर करेगा उससे सभी देशों के लिए मून मिशंस के नए रास्ते खुलेंगे। ये चांद के रहस्य को तो खोलेगा ही, साथ ही धरती की चुनौतियों के समाधान में भी मदद करेगा। आपकी इस सफलता के लिए मैं एक बार फिर सभी वैज्ञानिकों को, टेक्नीशियंस, इंजीनियर्स और चंद्रयान महाअभियान से जुड़े सभी सदस्यों को बधाई देता हूं। मेरे परिवारजनों, आप जानते हैं कि स्पेस मिशंस के टच डाउन पॉइंट को एक नाम दिए जाने की वैज्ञानिक परंपरा है। चंद्रमा के जिस हिस्से पर हमारा चंद्रयान उतरा है, भारत ने उस स्थान के भी नामकरण का फैसला लिया है। जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 3 का मून लैंडर उतरा है, अब उस पॉइंट को शिव शक्ति के नाम से जाना जाएगा। शिव में मानवता के कल्याण का संकल्प समाहित है और शक्ति से हमें उन संकल्पों को पूरा करने का सामर्थ्य मिलता है। चंद्रमा का शिव शक्ति पॉइंट हिमालय से कन्याकुमारी से जुड़े होने का बोध कराता है। हमारे ऋषियों ने कहा है, येन कर्माण्य पशो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कुण्वन्ति वित्तेषु धीरः यत्पूर्व यक्ष्मन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिव संकल्पमस्तु। अर्थात जिस मन से हम कर्तव्य कर्म करते हैं, विचार और विज्ञान को गति देते हैं, और जो सबके भीतर मौजूद है, वो मन शुभ और कल्याणकारी संकल्पों से जुड़े। मन के इन शुभ संकल्पों को पूरा करने के लिए शक्ति का आशीर्वाद अनिवार्य है, और ये शक्ति हमारी नारी शक्ति है। हमारी माताएं बहनें हैं। हमारे यहां कहा गया है, सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानाम शक्ति भूते सनातनी। अर्थात निर्माण से प्रलय तक पूरी सृष्टि का आधार नारी शक्ति ही है। आप सबने देखा है, चंद्रयान 3 में देश ने, हमारी महिला वैज्ञानिकों ने, देश की नारी शक्ति ने कितनी बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। चंद्रमा का शिव शक्ति पॉइंट सदियों तक भारत के इस वैज्ञानिक और दार्शनिक चिंतन का साक्षी बनेगा। ये शिव शक्ति पॉइंट आने वाली पीढ़ियों को प्रेरणा देगा कि हमें विज्ञान का उपयोग मानवता के कल्याण के लिए ही करना है। मानवता का कल्याण, यही हमारा सुप्रीम कमिटमेंट है। साथियों, एक और नामकरण काफी समय से लंबित है। 4 साल पहले जब चंद्रयान 2 चंद्रमा के पास तक पहुंचा था, जहां उसके पदचिन्ह पड़े थे, तब ये प्रस्ताव था कि उस स्थान का नाम तय किया जाए। लेकिन उन परिस्थितियों में निर्णय लेने के स्थान पर हमने प्रण लिया कि जब चंद्रयान 3 सफलतापूर्वक चांद पर पहुंचेगा, तब हम दोनों पॉइंट का नाम एक साथ रखेंगे। और आज मुझे लगता है कि जब हर घर तिरंगा है, जब हर मन तिरंगा है और चांद पर भी तिरंगा है, तो तिरंगा के सिवाय चंद्रयान 2 से जुड़े उस स्थान को और क्या नाम दिया जा सकता है। इसलिए चंद्रमा के जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 2 ने अपने पदचिन्ह छोड़े हैं, वो पॉइंट अब तिरंगा कहलाएगा। ये तिरंगा पॉइंट भारत के हर प्रयास की प्रेरणा बनेगा। ये तिरंगा पॉइंट हमें सीख देगा कि कोई भी विफलता आखिरी नहीं होती। अगर दृढ़ इच्छा शक्ति हो तो सफलता मिलकर के ही रहती है। यानी मैं फिर दोहरा रहा हूं, चंद्रयान 2 के पद चिन्ह जहां है वो स्थान आज से तिरंगा पॉइंट कहलाएगा। और जहां पर चंद्रयान 3 का मून लैंडर पहुंचा है वो स्थान आज से शिव शक्ति पॉइंट कहलाएगा। साथियों, आज भारत दुनिया का चौथा ऐसा देश बन चुका है जिसने चंद्रमा की सतह को छुआ है। ये सफलता तब और अधिक बड़ी हो जाती है जब हम ये देखते हैं कि भारत ने अपनी यात्रा कहां से शुरू की थी। एक समय था जब भारत के पास जरूरी तकनीक नहीं थी, सहयोग भी नहीं था। हमारी गिनती थर्ड वर्ल्ड यानी थर्ड रो में खड़े देशों में होती थी। थर्ड वर्ल्ड थर्ड रो में खड़े हुए लोग में होती थी। वहां से निकलकर आज दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी बना है। आज ट्रेड से लेकर टेक्नोलॉजी तक भारत की गिनती पहली पंक्ति यानी फर्स्ट रो में खड़े देशों में हो रही है। यानी थर्ड रो से फर्स्ट रो तक इस यात्रा में इसरो जैसी संस्थानों की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। आपने आज मेक इन इंडिया को चांद तक पहुंचा दिया है। मेरे परिवारजनों, मैं आज आपके बीच आकर विशेष तौर पर देशवासियों को आपकी मेहनत के बारे में बताना चाहता हूं। जो मैं बातें बता रहा हूं वो आपके लिए नई नहीं है, लेकिन आपने जो किया है, जो साधना की है, वो देशवासियों को भी पता होना चाहिए। भारत के दक्षिण हिस्से से चंद्रमा के दक्षिणी ध्रुव तक चंद्रयान की ये यात्रा आसान नहीं थी। मून लैंडर की सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग सुनिश्चित करने के लिए हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने इसरो की रिसर्च फैसिलिटी में आर्टिफिशियल मून तक बना डाला। इस आर्टिफिशियल मून पर विक्रम लैंडर को अलग अलग तरीके से सरफेस पर उतारकर उसका टेस्ट किया गया था। अब इतने सारे एग्जाम देकर हमारा मून लैंडर वहां गया है तो उसे सक्सेस मिलनी ही मिलनी थी। साथियों, आज जब मैं देखता हूं कि भारत की युवा पीढ़ी साइंस को लेकर, स्पेस को लेकर, इनोवेशन को लेकर इतनी एनर्जी से भरी हुई है, तो उसके पीछे हमारे ऐसे ही स्पेस मिशंस की सफलता है। मंगलयान की सफलता ने, चंद्रयान की सफलता ने, गगनयान की तैयारी ने देश की युवा पीढ़ी को एक नया मिजाज दे दिया है। आज भारत के छोटे छोटे बच्चों की जुबान पर चंद्रयान का नाम है। आज भारत का हर बच्चा आप वैज्ञानिकों में अपना भविष्य देख रहा है। इसलिए आपकी उपलब्धि सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि आपने चांद पर तिरंगा लहराया, लेकिन आपने एक और बड़ी उपलब्धि हासिल की है, और वो उपलब्धि है भारत की पूरी पीढ़ी को जागृत करने की, उसे नई ऊर्जा देने की। आपने एक पूरी पीढ़ी पर अपनी इस सफलता की गहरी छाप छोड़ी है। आज से कोई भी बच्चा रात में जब चंद्रमा को देखेगा तो उसको विश्वास होगा कि जिस हौसले से मेरा देश चांद पर पहुंचा है, वही हौसला, वही जज्बा उस बच्चे के भीतर भी है, उस युवा के भीतर भी है। आज आपने भारत के बच्चों में आकांक्षाओं के जो बीज बोए हैं, कल वो वट वृक्ष बनेंगे और विकसित भारत की नींव बनेंगे। हमारी युवा पीढ़ी को निरंतर प्रेरणा मिलती रहे, इसके लिए एक और निर्णय लिया गया है। 23 अगस्त को जब भारत ने चंद्रमा पर तिरंगा फहराया, उस दिन को अब हिंदुस्तान नेशनल स्पेस डे के रूप में मनाया जाएगा। जब हर वर्ष नेशनल स्पेस डे साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन की स्पिरिट को सेलिब्रेट करेगा, हमें हमेशा हमेशा के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा। मेरे परिवारजनों, आप भी जानते हैं कि स्पेस सेक्टर का जो सामर्थ्य है वो सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करने या अंतरिक्ष की खोज से कहीं ज्यादा बड़ा है। स्पेस सेक्टर की एक बहुत बड़ी ताकत है जो मैं देखता हूं वो है ईज ऑफ लिविंग और ईज ऑफ गवर्नेंस। आज देश में स्पेस एप्लीकेशंस को गवर्नेंस के हर पहलू से जोड़ने की दिशा में बहुत बड़ा काम हुआ है। आप लोगों ने जब मुझे प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में काम का दायित्व दिया तो प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद मैंने भारत सरकार के जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी लेवल के ऑफिसर्स की स्पेस साइंटिस्ट के साथ एक वर्कशॉप करवाई थी और इसका मकसद ये था कि गवर्नेंस में, शासन व्यवस्था में ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाने में स्पेस सेक्टर की ताकत का ज्यादा से ज्यादा इस्तेमाल कैसे करें। तब किरण जी शायद हम लोगों के साथ काम करते थे। इसी का नतीजा था जब देश ने स्वच्छ भारत अभियान शुरू किया, शौचालयों का निर्माण शुरू किया, करोड़ों घरों को बनाने का अभियान चलाया, तो इन सब के मॉनिटरिंग के लिए, उसकी प्रगति के लिए स्पेस साइंस ने बहुत मदद की। आज देश में दूर दराज के इलाके में एजुकेशन, कम्युनिकेशन और हेल्थ सर्विसेज पहुंचाने में स्पेस सेक्टर की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। इन दिनों आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के निमित्त जो जिले जिले में अमृत सरोवर बन रहे हैं, उसका भी टैगिंग, उसकी भी मॉनिटरिंग स्पेस के द्वारा ही हो रही है। बिना स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी के हम टेलीमेडिसिन और टेली एजुकेशन की कल्पना तक नहीं कर सकते। स्पेस साइंस ने देश के रिसोर्सेज के ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन में भी बहुत मदद की है। हमारे देश के एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर को ताकत देने में, मौसम का अनुमान लगाने में स्पेस सेक्टर जो मदद करता है वो देश का हर किसान जानता है। आज वो देख लेता है अपने मोबाइल पर अगले सप्ताह मौसम का क्या हाल है। देश के करोड़ों मछुआरों को आज नाविक सिस्टम से जो सटीक जानकारी मिल रही है वो भी आप ही की देन है। आज जब देश में बाढ़ आती है, कोई प्राकृतिक आपदा आती है, भूकंप आता है, तो हालात की गंभीरता का पता लगाने में आप सबसे पहले आगे आते हैं। जब साइक्लोन आता है तो हमारी सैटेलाइट्स उसका सारा रूट बताती हैं, सारी टाइमिंग बताती हैं और लोगों की जान भी बचती है, संपत्ति भी बचती है। और सिर्फ साइक्लोन के कारण जो संपत्ति बचती है ना, उसका अगर जोड़ लगा दें तो आज स्पेस का जो खर्चा है उससे वो ज्यादा हो जाता था। हमारे पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान का आधार भी स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी ही है। और आज दुनिया भारत के इस गति शक्ति प्लेटफॉर्म का अध्ययन कर रही है कि प्लानिंग और मैनेजमेंट में ये प्लेटफॉर्म कितना उपयोगी हो सकता है। इससे प्रोजेक्ट्स की प्लानिंग, एजुकेशन और मॉनिटरिंग में काफी मदद मिल रही है। समय के साथ बढ़ता हुआ स्पेस एप्लीकेशन का ये दायरा हमारे युवाओं के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी बढ़ा रहा है, अवसर बढ़ा रहा है। और इसलिए आज मैं एक सुझाव भी देना चाहता हूं और मैं चाहूंगा कि आपके यहां से जो रिटायर्ड लोग हैं वे इसमें काफी मदद कर सकते हैं। अब ये मत बोलिएगा कि इतनी सुबह सुबह मोदी जी यहां आए और कुछ काम भी दे करके जा रहे हैं। साथियों, मैं चाहूंगा कि इसरो केंद्र सरकार के विभिन्न मंत्रालय और राज्य सरकारें मिलकर गवर्नेंस में स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी पर एक नेशनल हैकाथॉन का आयोजन करें। इस हैकाथॉन में ज्यादा से ज्यादा युवा, ज्यादा से ज्यादा यूनिवर्सिटी, ज्यादा से ज्यादा नौजवान वो शामिल हो, जुड़े। मुझे विश्वास है ये नेशनल हैकाथॉन हमारी गवर्नेंस को और प्रभावी बनाएगा, देशवासियों को मॉडर्न सॉल्यूशंस देगा। और साथियों, आपके अलावा मैं अपनी युवा पीढ़ी को एक और टास्क अलग से देना चाहता हूं। और होमवर्क के दिए बिना बच्चों को काम करने का मजा नहीं आता है। आप सब जानते हैं कि भारत वो देश है जिसने हजारों वर्ष पूर्व ही धरती के बाहर अनंत अंतरिक्ष में देखना शुरू कर दिया था। हमारे यहां सदियों पहले अनुसंधान परंपरा के आर्यभट्ट, ब्रह्मगुप्त, वराहमिहिर और भास्कराचार्य जैसे ऋषि मनीषी हुए थे। जब धरती के आकार को लेकर भ्रम था, तब आर्यभट्ट ने अपने महान ग्रंथ आर्यभट्टीय में धरती के गोलाकार होने के बारे में विस्तार से लिखा था। उन्होंने एक्सिस पर पृथ्वी की रोटेशन और उसकी परिधि की गणना भी लिख दी थी। इसी तरह सूर्य सिद्धांत जैसे ग्रंथों में भी कहा गया है, सर्वत्रैव महिगोले, सर्वत्रैव महिगोले स्वस्थानम उपरि स्थितम मन्यन्ते खेयतो गोलस तस्य क्व ऊर्ध्वं क्व वादः। अर्थात पृथ्वी पर कुछ लोग अपनी जगह को सबसे ऊपर मानते हैं, लेकिन ये गोलाकार पृथ्वी तो आकाश में स्थित है, उसमें ऊपर और नीचे क्या हो सकता है, ये उस समय लिखा गया था। ये तो मैंने सिर्फ एक श्लोक बताया है। ऐसी अनगिनत रचनाएं हमारे पूर्वजों ने लिखी हुई है। सूर्य, चंद्रमा और पृथ्वी के एक दूसरे के बीच में आने से ग्रहण की जानकारी हमारे कितने ही ग्रंथों में लिखी हुई पाई जाती है। पृथ्वी के अलावा अन्य ग्रहों के आकार की गणनाएं, उनके मूवमेंट से जुड़ी जानकारी भी हमारे प्राचीन ग्रंथों में मिलती है। हमने ग्रहों और उपग्रहों की गति को लेकर इतना सूक्ष्म गणनाएं करने की वो काबिलियत हासिल की थी कि हमारे यहां सैकड़ों वर्ष आगे के पंचांग यानी कैलेंडर्स बनाए जाते थे। इसलिए मैं इससे जुड़ा एक टास्क अपनी नई पीढ़ी को देना चाहता हूं, स्कूल कॉलेज के बच्चों को देना चाहता हूं। मैं चाहता हूं कि भारत के शास्त्रों में जो खगोलीय सूत्र है, उन्हें साइंटिफिकली प्रूव करने के लिए, नए सिरे से उनके अध्ययन के लिए नई पीढ़ी आगे आए। ये हमारी विरासत के लिए भी जरूरी है और विज्ञान के लिए भी जरूरी है। आज जो स्कूल के, कॉलेज के, यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, रिसर्चर्स हैं, उन पर एक तरह से ये दोहरा दायित्व है। भारत के पास विज्ञान के ज्ञान का जो खजाना है वो गुलामी के लंबे कालखंड में दब गया है, छिप गया है। आजादी के इस अमृत काल में हमें इस खजाने को भी खंगालना है, उस पर रिसर्च करनी है और दुनिया को भी बताना है। दूसरा दायित्व ये कि हमारी युवा पीढ़ी को आज के आधुनिक विज्ञान, आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी को नए आयाम देने हैं। समंदर की गहराइयों से लेकर आसमान की ऊंचाई तक, आसमान की ऊंचाई से लेकर अंतरिक्ष की गहराई तक आपके लिए, करने के लिए बहुत कुछ है। आप डीप अर्थ को भी देखिए और साथ ही डीप सी को भी एक्सप्लोर करिए। आप नेक्स्ट जनरेशन कंप्यूटर बनाइए और साथ ही जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग में भी अपना सिक्का जमाइए। भारत में आपके लिए नई संभावनाओं के द्वार लगातार खुल रहे हैं। 21वीं सदी के इस कालखंड में जो देश साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में बढ़त बना ले जाएगा, वो देश सबसे आगे बढ़ जाएगा। साथियों, आज बड़े बड़े एक्सपर्ट्स कह रहे हैं कि अगले कुछ वर्षों में भारत की स्पेस इंडस्ट्री $8 बिलियन से बढ़कर $16 बिलियन की हो जाएगी। सरकार भी इस बात की गंभीरता को समझते हुए स्पेस सेक्टर में लगातार रिफॉर्म कर रही है। हमारे युवा भी कमर कसकर तैयार है। आपको जानकर सुखद आश्चर्य होगा कि पिछले 4 साल में स्पेस सेक्टर में काम करने वाले स्टार्टअप्स की संख्या 4 से बढ़कर करीब करीब 150 हो गई है। हम कल्पना कर सकते हैं कि अनंत आकाश में कितनी अनंत संभावनाएं भारत का इंतजार कर रही हैं। वैसे कुछ दिन बाद 1 सितंबर से माईगॉव हमारे चंद्रयान मिशन को लेकर बहुत बड़ा क्विज कंपटीशन लॉन्च करने वाला है। हमारे देश के स्टूडेंट्स इससे भी शुरुआत कर सकते हैं। मैं देश भर के स्टूडेंट से आग्रह करूंगा कि आप सभी बड़ी संख्या में इससे जुड़े। मेरे परिवारजनों, देश की भावी पीढ़ी को आपका मार्गदर्शन बहुत आवश्यक है। आप जो इतने सारे इंपॉर्टेंट मिशंस पर काम कर रहे हैं, वो आने वाली पीढ़ी ही आगे ले जाने वाली है। आप उन सभी के रोल मॉडल हैं। आपकी रिसर्च और आपकी वर्षों की तपस्या, मेहनत ने साबित किया है कि आप जो ठान लेते हैं वो आप करके दिखाते हैं। देश के लोगों का विश्वास आप पर है और विश्वास कमाना छोटी बात नहीं होती है दोस्तों। आपने अपनी तपस्या से विश्वास कमाया है। देश के लोगों का आशीर्वाद आप पर है। इसी आशीर्वाद की ताकत से, देश के प्रति इसी समर्पण भाव से भारत साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में ग्लोबल लीडर बनेगा। और मैं आपके बीच बड़े विश्वास के साथ बताता हूं, इनोवेशन की हमारी यही स्पिरिट ही 2047 में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करेगी। इसी विश्वास के साथ मैं फिर एक बार आप सबके दर्शन करके पावन हुआ हूं। देशवासी गौरव से भरे हुए हैं। सपने बहुत तेजी से संकल्प बन रहे हैं और आपका परिश्रम उन संकल्प को सिद्धि के तक ले जाने के लिए बहुत बड़ी प्रेरणा बन रहा है। आपको जितनी बधाई दूं कम है, जितना अभिनंदन करूं कम है। मेरी तरफ से करोड़ों करोड़ों देशवासियों की तरफ से, दुनिया भर की साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी की तरफ से अनेक अनेक धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की। धन्यवाद।
Well, so Varghese, quite a long speech there by the Prime Minister when he visited the telemetry center ISRO in Bengaluru, and he was greeted with a huge applause, and he was let off with a huge applause. It's ironic that last time around during Chandrayaan 2, it was basically K. Sivan and who got teary-eyed, and the Prime Minister had to come back and then console a crying K. Sivan, patting him on the back. This time around, it's the Prime Minister who's gotten emotional. I mean, take a look at this particular bite. Let's play out that portion, if I can, confirm with the control room, and if that particular portion is ready with us. Let's listen in to when the Prime Minister this time around gets emotional. Varghese.
सवेरे सवेरे आप सभी को, और इतना और टाइम, लेकिन बस मन कर रहा था जाऊं आपको नमन करूं। आपको दिक्कत हुई होगी, लेकिन मैं भारत में आते ही जल्द से जल्द आपके दर्शन करना चाहता था। आप सबको सैल्यूट करना चाहता था। सैल्यूट आपके परिश्रम को, सैल्यूट आपके धैर्य को, सैल्यूट आपकी लगन को, सैल्यूट आपकी जीवटता को, सैल्यूट आपके जज्बे को। आप देश को जिस ऊंचाई पर लेकर गए हैं, ये कोई साधारण सफलता नहीं है। ये अनंत अंतरिक्ष में भारत के वैज्ञानिक सामर्थ्य का शंखनाद है।
Also, did you see the Prime Minister over there getting a little bit emotional, saying that, it's your parishram, it's your hard work that has actually paid off? But that's not all. Several announcements. And the Prime Minister talking about, how it wants the space sector to get in touch with the governance sector so that all the states and, the union government can help better the governance in the country. But at the same time, visuals of the Prime Minister meeting the ISRO chief and the Chandrayaan 3 team. Then he was given a proper demonstration of what all, is basically placed in terms of instruments and payloads on these two rovers and landers. But importantly, Varghese, the lander, exact place where Chandrayaan 3 lander has landed, that place has been named a particular thing. It's called Shiva Shakti. And the exact position where Chandrayaan 2's lander finally came in there, that's called Tiranga. So Tiranga and Shiva Shakti, India's two spots on the lunar surface. Let's take a look at those reactions. The Prime Minister suggesting that there's going to be Shiva Shakti and Tiranga as well.
स्पेस मिशंस के टच डाउन पॉइंट को एक नाम दिए जाने की वैज्ञानिक परंपरा है। चंद्रमा के जिस हिस्से पर हमारा चंद्रयान उतरा है, भारत ने उस स्थान के भी नामकरण का फैसला लिया है। जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 3 का मून लैंडर उतरा है, अब उस पॉइंट को शिव शक्ति के नाम से जाना जाएगा। शिव में मानवता के कल्याण का संकल्प समाहित है और शक्ति से हमें उन संकल्पों को पूरा करने का सामर्थ्य मिलता है। चंद्रमा का शिव शक्ति पॉइंट हिमालय से कन्याकुमारी से जुड़े होने का बोध कराता है। हमारे ऋषियों ने कहा है, येन कर्माण्य पशो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कुण्वन्ति विद्येषु धीरः यत्पूर्व यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिव संकल्पमस्तु। अर्थात जिस मन से हम कर्तव्य कर्म करते हैं, विचार और विज्ञान को गति देते हैं, और जो सबके भीतर मौजूद है, वो मन शुभ और कल्याणकारी संकल्पों से जुड़े। एक और नामकरण काफी समय से लंबित है। 4 साल पहले जब चंद्रयान 2 चंद्रमा के पास तक पहुंचा था, जहां उसके पदचिन्ह पड़े थे, तब ये प्रस्ताव था कि उस स्थान का नाम तय किया जाए। लेकिन उन परिस्थितियों में निर्णय लेने के स्थान पर हमने प्रण लिया कि जब चंद्रयान 3 सफलतापूर्वक चांद पर पहुंचेगा, तब हम दोनों पॉइंट का नाम एक साथ रखेंगे। और आज मुझे लगता है कि जब हर घर तिरंगा है, जब हर मन तिरंगा है और चांद पर भी तिरंगा है, तो तिरंगा के सिवाय चंद्रयान 2 से जुड़े उस स्थान को और क्या नाम दिया जा सकता है। इसलिए चंद्रमा के जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 2 ने अपने पदचिन्ह छोड़े हैं, वो पॉइंट अब तिरंगा कहलाएगा। ये तिरंगा पॉइंट भारत के हर प्रयास की प्रेरणा बनेगा। ये तिरंगा पॉइंट हमें सीख देगा कि कोई भी विफलता आखिरी नहीं होती। अगर दृढ़ इच्छा शक्ति हो तो सफलता मिलकर के ही रहती है। यानी मैं फिर दोहरा रहा हूं, चंद्रयान 2 के पद चिन्ह जहां है, वो स्थान आज से तिरंगा पॉइंट कहलाएगा। और जहां पर चंद्रयान 3 का मून लैंडर पहुंचा है, वो स्थान आज से शिव शक्ति पॉइंट कहलाएगा।
Well, so Shiv Shakti and Tiranga, those are the two names
for the landing sites
in respect to the two moon landers that will made it. One successful, one unsuccessful, but still there and still operational. Now, Varghese, another important aspect that the Prime Minister, that the ISRO chairman, and when the landing was happening on the 23rd of August, the project director said the same thing. 100 plus women took part in this particular mission, made it successful. Nari Shakti, in its actual word and terminology, was actually at play in this particular mission, Chandrayaan 3. The Prime Minister also respected the role of women in ISRO's recent achievement. Let's listen to what the Prime Minister had to say.
मन के इन शुभ संकल्पों को पूरा करने के लिए शक्ति का आशीर्वाद अनिवार्य है और ये शक्ति हमारी नारी शक्ति है। हमारी माताएं बहनें हैं। हमारे यहां कहा गया है, सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानाम शक्ति भूते सनातनी, अर्थात निर्माण से प्रलय तक पूरी सृष्टि का आधार नारी शक्ति ही है। आप सबने देखा है, चंद्रयान 3 में देश ने, हमारी महिला वैज्ञानिकों ने, देश की नारी शक्ति ने कितनी बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। चंद्रमा का शिव शक्ति पॉइंट सदियों तक भारत के इस वैज्ञानिक और दार्शनिक चिंतन का साक्षी बनेगा। ये शिव शक्ति पॉइंट आने वाली पीढ़ियों को प्रेरणा देगा कि हमें विज्ञान का उपयोग मानवता के कल्याण के लिए ही करना है। मानवता का कल्याण, यही हमारा सुप्रीम कमिटमेंट है।
मानवता का कल्याण. I think that's the bigger message that the Prime Minister has put out, because be it the speech right outside the HAL airport, be it the small little road show victory, important to note, no party flags, only the tricolor that was being waved, and then meeting the ISRO scientist, saying that I'm sorry, I apologize that I've called you early in the morning today, but I just couldn't help myself. I was really excited to come back.
I think
and,
the Prime Minister was
celebration and the happiness.
The Prime Minister's, we say that thing. The Prime Minister's mind was mostly with regard to the Chandrayaan mission than he was at BRICS. I think he was so preoccupied, he was so excited about it that he couldn't contain his excitement until he landed over here. So I think that is what defined that excitement for him.
And he was gifted a lot of memorabilia as well. There you go. Like I said, with those kind of pads, the ISRO chairman is sleeping on his stomach tonight and not on his back. Achievement for a successful landing, and apart from the formalities, I think there was a little bit of a emotional quotient as well. The Prime Minister got a little bit emotional as well. A little nostalgia also at play over here because of Chandrayaan 2. And he was given a small memorabilia of the Chandrayaan 3 model. He was shown, like you can see, what the lander and the rover are essentially going to do. He was then shown the latest pictures. He was gifted a photo frame of today's picture of what the rover actually is doing. And importantly, for all the viewers out there, the rover today is going to take a turn. It is now going to click a picture of the lander and send back. And ISRO,
I mean, I'm just waiting for that, because that shows that we are there. just gives you, it's like that effort that has been put into it, it just becomes a testament of that defining moment when the rover was going to take that picture.
All in all, some 45 tiresome days for these ISRO scientists. But then again, let's not forget, the Prime Minister was also out. He was also attending the BRICS summit. After the BRICS summit, he then visited Greece and did not waste the time. Very easy for a Prime Minister to come back, take another day, take another 2 days, and then go visit ISRO. But he said, I wanted to touch down in Bengaluru so that when I came back home, I visited my scientists, I congratulated them, and he spoke to the nation from the dais, from the ISTRAC in Bengaluru, the telemetry and commanding sending operations. You could see the entire delegation sitting over there, Dr. S. Jaishankar and
Ajit Doval,
National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was also there. And these are the 100+ women who's part and parcel of Chandrayaan 3. Take a look at that. Beautiful visuals. I think, Varghese, we'll leave the viewers with the top shots of the day. Let's leave the viewers with the top shots of the day. And thank you so much for tuning in to News 9 Live. Varghese Abraham and Kabir Naqvi signing off. Needless to say, our footsteps are certainly engraved now on the moon.
Yes, that's the big thing about it.
बातचीत करते हुए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी तमाम इसरो की वो महिला वैज्ञानिक जिन्होंने लगातार दिन रात मेहनत की, उनके अथक प्रयास, उनके साथ यहां पे बातचीत करते हुए, साथ ही डॉक्टर सोमनाथ भी यहां मौजूद हैं, इसरो के निदेशक, उस बारे में यहां पे जानकारी लेते हुए, बातचीत करते हुए। और पहले जब प्रधानमंत्री यहां पहुंचे थे, वरिष्ठ वैज्ञानिक मौजूद थे, उसके बाद जो महिला वैज्ञानिक हैं उनसे अलग से जाकर प्रधानमंत्री यहां पर मिले हैं। ये वो तस्वीरें आप देख पा रहे हैं और ये बेहद जरूरी, प्रधानमंत्री ने इस बात का जिक्र किया कि इसरो में जो हमारे वैज्ञानिक हैं वो खासतौर से युवाओं में उन आकांक्षाओं की
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं।
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में। ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है।
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why should we even be a part of it?
The Rat Race. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT.